everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Billikis. How you doing? Today's class will be on how to draft a basic sleeve for kids. Remember from our last class we spoke about how to draft a basic slipper for kids. But in today's class we'll be learning how to draft a basic sleeve like what I have here. We'll be using this other side of the pattern paper. So what are the measurements needed for this? First, you need the front armhole measurement and the back armhole measurement. How do you do that? It's very simple. From your basic bodice pattern, all you have to do is to measure this front armhole and also the back armhole. So that's what I meant by the front armhole measurement and the back armhole measurement. So all I have to do, you start from this point and then you measure. And you see, just follow the curve. And here I have 6.5 inches. So I'm going to do the same thing to the back. Take your time. So can you see we have the same 6.5? Can you see that? The same 6.5. But for both front and the back. Usually it might not be like that, yeah, depending on how you draft it. But for kids, the slight difference that could be there could be 1/2 inch. Maybe one is 6.5 and the other one is 6 3/4. But usually for kids it's always the same thing. So in case you don't have the same measurements, you don't have to worry. Just there's a way we'll go about that. So now we've known how to take these two measurements. The next thing will be the armhole height. What do I mean by that? Just come over here. And that will be the measurement from here to here. How do you take that to make that easy? Just get your pencil and your ruler. Connect this edge, this shoulder edge together. Can you see that? So after doing that, just measure from the middle, whatever you have. So from here, I have 5 1/4. We are done with that. Back to the measurements. So we know the front armhole measurement, back armhole measurement. We know the armhole height. Then the sleeve length of the child, that's from the shoulder to the wrist. So for this measurement, it is 14. Then the wrist measurement, which is here, is 5 1/2. So with this measurement now we can start drafting. So the first thing you are just going to do is to just draw a straight line. Just take your ruler and draw a straight line. That's going to be the wrist, where the wrist measurement is going to be. After that, then use your hair cord or your pattern master to just draw a line in the middle, because this is hair curve. So just place your pattern master this way or your hair curve to be accurate. So make the measurement of the sleeve length, and the sleeve length we are working with is 14 inches. So here I have 14 inches, which is good. So that would be the crown of the sleeve. The next thing will be to determine the cap's height, and the measurement of the armhole height will be what we will use to determine the cap's height. So when I say armhole height, is the same thing as cap's height, but for this measurement it is still the armhole height. Standard, you will deduct 1 1/4 to 1 1/2 inches from this armhole height measurement to get your cap's height. So now this is 5 1/4. When I remove 1 1/4 from this, I'll be left with 4 inches. So from the crown, just measure 4 inches. And take your pattern master. Make sure this straight line is in the middle to be able to get it accurately. Good. Having done that, now we are going to place the front armhole and back armhole measurements on the bicep line, because this is the cap's height now, which is 4 inches, and this is the bicep line. Now going back to our measurement. Here, the front armhole and back armhole is the same, so you just pick one. But for instance, if you have like 6.5 and 6 3/4, 6.5 means 6.5. So you might be seeing me write 6.5. That is the same thing as 6.5. So for instance, if you have the front armhole to be 6.5, the back to be 6 3/4, all you have to do is to add both together. It should be 13 1/4. Because why? 6 plus 6, that is 12. Then half an inch plus 3/4, that will be 1 1/4. So that makes it 12 plus 1 1/4, 13 1/4. So in this case, you are going to divide this 13 1/4 by 2. So you just divide by 2. So whatever you have is what you will use. You divide 13 1/4 by 2 inches, that means you will be having 6 inches, 5/8 of an inch. So in decimal, that should be around 6.625. So that means you'll be working with 6 inches, 5/8 of an inch. That is if you have, for instance, the front armhole to be 6.5 and the back to be 6 3/4. But in this case, I have 6.5 for both sides. So that means I'm just going to take one, which will be 6.5. So having done that now, I'll take my measuring tape and start from here. So measure 6.5. So wherever 6.5 joins this bicep line is where you are going to stop. So 6.5 is here. And then I'll do the same thing, 6.5. So, but assuming I have the one I calculated, that means I'll be using 6 inches, 5/8 of an inch. So 6.5. In case you don't know how to read your measuring tape, I have a video on that, which I'll put in the description box below. So now the line is formed. So now you just choose wherever you want to be the back and the front. So this can be the back, and then this the front. So what do you do next? The next thing is to divide the back line. Now you divide it into 3. So just fold your measuring tape into 3. That's another method to do that. So this is what I have into 3. So just spread it out and mark it on the line. So this will be the first line, the second line. So this back is into 3, 1 2 3. While the front here will be into 4, 6.5. So you can just divide that. 6.5, half of it will be 3 1/4. So that is it, that is half. Then these two you can divide into 2, just fold it. Then you come down here. Can you see that was easy? Now to make the crown. So for this part, you go up by half an inch. And the second one, this last division, you just get the midpoint. So this is the midpoint. And at that point, you go down by 1/4 of an inch. It's just the same thing as we did for the adult basic sleeve. 1/4 of an inch. And I'm going to take the armhole curve. So play with the armhole curve. Connect from this point to this point, noting the half inch you came up by. Then you turn this armhole, noting this point. So that is formed. So the next thing, you go to the front. The front, you go up on the first one by 3/8 of an inch, or to make it easier, that is 1 centimeter. Just turn it and mark 1 centimeter here. Then you come down also by 3/8 of an inch, 1 centimeter. Then you can connect it. So play with your armhole curve. So the crown is formed. Can you see that's very easy and beautiful to make? Now for the wrist measurement we have here is 5.5 inches, but I will advise you to add heels to that because of the spat of the hand. So 1/2 inches to 5.5 will be 6. So you divide that 6 into 2, that will give you 3. So 3 on both sides. And just connect straight to the bicep line. Can you see the sleeve is formed? That's perfect. So another thing you want to do is to just check the curves if they are okay. So let me just check. But you will need, it has to be excess because you need some ease for the crown, the ease, especially when you are fixing your setting sleeve. So here I have 6 3/4. That's fine. So I have extra 1/4 of an inch, which will be good for the ease of the crown when fixing the sleeve. Let me measure the other one. I have the same thing, 6 3/4. So that means I have total of 1/2 inch ease, which is just perfect for the ease of the sleeve. We are going to report here will be the notches. So I didn't explain in the last time. How do you do that? All you have to do is to divide your armhole measurement by 3. So whatever you have is the notch point. So here the front we have 6.5. So when you divide that by 3, you should have 2.1. So you take your measuring tape, then measure 2.1. That is from the side upward. 2.1. So I have that here. So for the front is just 1 notch. Then coming to the back, since we have 6.52 divided by 3 will be 2.1. So I'll measure 2.1. So here I'm going to have 2 notches. So that's the notch. So whatever we have here, you're going to report it back here because this is very important when you are attaching your sleeve. 2.1. So that's here. So our notches has been reported. So that is it on how to draft a basic sleeve. So what I'm going to do now is just cut it out for you to see how that looks. Is ready. So this is what the sleeve looks like for a child. Can you see that was pretty easy? So if my tutorial on how to draft this basic sleeve has been helpful, please give me a giant thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. So make sure you have the pattern ready for your kids so that when in future when we are trying to make kids clothing, we just make use of this pattern we have. So I remain your girl Billikis. Please check out my other channel, Billikis Signatures and Billikis Kitchen. Follow me on Instagram, Billikis Signatures, and on Facebook, Sewing Innovations. For sewing tools and online classes, use the contact number in the description box below.